Welcome to the Atlanteans, a podcast about Warmachine and the Iron Kingdoms, created by the Hampton Roads Atlanteans gaming community. And now to our hosts. Hey guys, this is Jay. Welcome to the Atlanteans episode number 3. I have with me Alec.
Hi, this is Alec.
Hey Alec, how's it going?
It's going amazing. How about you?
I'm doing okay. And also joining us again for this episode is Joe. How you doing, Joe?
Jay, glad to be back.
So, we wanted to have you back on again because you just ran the Siege of Scarswall event, and we are going to talk about events and things in the episode. Thanks again for running that event. It was great.
Yeah, man, I had a ton of fun. I think running events might be the new metagame for me, right? Like
that painting terrain, right?
Yeah, painting terrain. Yep. Those like third ways of enjoying the hobby.
Yep.
So it was a lot of fun. It's cool. I was really happy that everybody came out. You know.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the best part of it. Was just like seeing so many members of the community.
I agree. It was a good time, fun time, a long day for sure.
Yeah. But I brought donuts and coffee for us to get us started off right. But yeah, I think it was good. Showed up at 10 in the morning and, got back to the house around 8 or 9.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you were up in the morning painting, right?
No. I finished all my painting on like Thursday.
Oh, that's what I did. I was painting models for the event.
Okay, so the thing I was doing the morning of was I was printing out that really silly map of the Western Immirin. So I was doing that. Was awesome. No, it was sweet. I wish I was doing it. I was like, man, I wish I'd thought of this a week earlier so I could have printed out a really nice big one, But it was cool to have it. I really enjoyed giving like the briefing of like, this is what's going on in Immirin and this is what the invasion looked like and all that stuff.
So, I'm going to run the event for you at Nova when we run it on Friday night at Nova Open, but I'm going to need you to do that fluff spiel again because there's no way I'm going to be able to handle that.
Oh, no, I really enjoyed it. I'd love to do that again. Also, I got some of it wrong, which is hilarious. Okay, so I thought the Garlgast Island was like cross. Well, I mean, it is.
No, it's like part of the Crixian.
Yeah, it's just like the northern part of the Shard Isles, right?
Yeah,
so, the Garlgasts are. I mean, they're not.
The Witch Coven are actually from that island.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're the Witch Coven of Garlgast.
You're
it's in their
right.
name. Yeah.
Man, okay. Well, like you said, making lots of new connections. I've never really paid that much attention to the fluff before, but it was really fun to dig into it.
Absolutely. I mean, it was great. It was great, and all the fluff pieces coming up before the event was really fun. And
I had so much fun writing those. That was. Well, I mean, there were a lot of parts of this I enjoyed, but I loved doing that, and I put them all in the rules, right? And then I realized no one was reading the rules, so I was like,
it still blows me away that you wrote them all.
Yeah,
I thought that was all just like part of the rule of the document that Privateer Press sent you.
Oh no. Those came from my imagination. I had some help from one of my friends who knows a lot about the RPG and stuff. And
I gotcha.
He QC'd them for me, and he caught a couple of things that I had wrong. And
very cool.
I think originally I had a quote from I think it was like Damiano or someone who was dead. And he was like, no, you got to change this. So I appreciated his input on that.
All right.
I should describe what these things are because no one else probably knows.
We'll talk more about this later on in the cast.
Okay.
First, Alec.
Yes, sir.
We've been away for, I guess it's like almost 4 weeks now. What's happened in the world of Warmachine in those 4 weeks?
Oh, man, there has been so much that has happened in the world of Warmachine. Not only have we gotten new rules, but we've also gotten to see some new models and some rules to go with those models. So one of my favorite things that we have now is we got the rules for the new command box for just the casters.
Yep.
For
I blanked on the Kadorian girl's name.
Zahara. Captain Zahara. I don't know her last name.
And then we also got the rules for Major Kane. I'm a little sad he wasn't General Kane, but I understand,
he's not Striker. He's not as cool.
He just gains 1 rank every time he levels up, right?
Oh no, because he gets a roller coaster.
So Kane 4 will be Lieutenant Colonel Kane.
I mean, or we might go back to Lieutenant Kane. You never know.
Who knows?
But that was so we have that. We got to see a painted Abyssal King, which was beautiful. We have some of the updates to the app, which helped. They finally fixed that bug so you can actually name your lists.
Again, I never had that problem. Was that an iPhone thing?
It was an iPhone thing. Yes, thank you for bringing it up. It was iPhone and iPads.
Yeah,
that was.
People were having problems, and I was like, I can still change mine fine. What's going on?
Do you remember when you were having problems
with
Android? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm good. I feel like it's they break one or the other. They never actually break both at the same time. But I do really
like the new screen. The new entry screen. I think that's cool.
I still don't like the logo, but the screen is cool. I wish they had, like the old, like War Room and apps in the past, you had a couple of different backgrounds you could pick from.
Oh man, I love those. That would be cool. What was your feel or what were you playing?
Right, I would switch it to whatever army I was playing every time I'd change factions.
That would be sweet. I'd be into that.
I'm the same way. I'm that much of a dork as well, so I don't see that as a bad thing. I think what else has happened? So we got that. Oh, we got Butcher's Rules, which man, he has some pretty cool rules. I can't wait to see him across the table. It's going to be pretty awesome. Hopefully, are they going to release him before Nova, or is Nova going to be the first chance?
No, I actually don't think that he's going to be. I don't think they're going to bring. I don't think because Matt Hart's supposedly coming to Nova, but they're not actually. SFG isn't actually going to be there. I don't think. So I don't think that he's going to be on sale at Nova. He's him, Yana. And the two Crix, the Crix starter and the Crix command box, are supposed to be not the starter, the battle group box and the command group box are all supposed to come out on the 31st of August. So it'll come out as we're at Nova, but I don't think it'll be there. I'm sure some crazy person will go.
That guy is good, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So tell us about him, Joe, if you've been looking at him.
Oh yeah. So I get to play a game against him on the war table, which is pretty sweet. Okay, so I think the most defining thing about him is that he has, the most unusual thing about him is he has Spellboard, which means he can't cast self spells.
Yeah, anything that would target himself.
So things like Windstorm or Carnage from the rack, they're not options for him.
Yeah, and I did have to look that up and confirm it, but it does say target himself with the spell, so he can't be targeted by spells. So that's how that works, for those that are wondering.
And I think that's really cool because that opens up some new design space, and it encourages the use of different spells in the rack. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I mean, I guess as a player, you'd maybe prefer to have more options a lot of the time, but I think it's cool when things have less and it forces creativity. So I mean, he's basically a big Doom Reaver, right? So he has Berserk. He has Overtake, right? Is that right? Or
He has him and his
the other thing.
Battle group have it's not kill order, it's when
Murderous Rampage or something like that.
I think it's something. My name, I'll look it up. Keep talking.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna beat you to it. Okay.
So basically, what it does is if he kills a model and there are no more enemy models within his melee range, he can move an inch.
Yeah, so he can
Homicidal Maniac or something like that, maybe?
Yeah. That sounds right. Here, I'm there.
It's what Butcher 3 used to do. Yeah, it's what Butcher 3 used to do. Or Butcher 2 used to do. Yeah.
Yeah, so he can just Pac-Man through a ton of infantry, right?
Yep.
And he has Blood Quenched, so every time he kills someone, he gets +1 arm and +1 melee damage.
Which is crazy.
So if you've got a bunch of infantry, he can pinball around and bounce around and kill a ton of dudes and stack a ton of armor and a ton of damage.
And the worst thing about it is that normally I would say, hey, if a guy has that ability, watch out for your small base infantry, and it would totally make it sense for you to have put multi-wound infantry into him. But he's just gonna Pac-Man through this multi-wound infantry too.
Oh yeah, I mean he starts at POW 16 with crit decap, right? So he's it doesn't take too many tokens for him to start eating those 8 wound models. So
yeah.
So he's cool on that front.
I'm a little sad that he's not a weapon master anymore.
I think it would be a lot on top of his POW 16.
So all 3 versions previously, Butcher 1, 2, and 3 are POW 16 weapon masters. He's been Mat 19, POW 16 since the beginning of Warmachine.
So in the game I played, they definitely got him up to POW 23. I think Weapon Master would have been a lot on top of it.
How'd they do that?
I mean, I see where you're coming from.
How'd they do that?
I mean, no, just think about it, man. It's just like one unit of Immortals, 6 models. He charges 1. If he can get 1, he can probably get the whole unit, right?
Yeah.
That's 6 tokens. And that doesn't cost any fury, right? Because he's berserking, he's murderous destructioning.
Yeah.
Like, that's just off of his initial attack. And then, you kill one more thing. All of a sudden, you're at a +7/+7. It's good. It's real good.
Oh, yeah, it's arm and melee damage. That makes sense.
Yeah, the arm is important, so he doesn't, just get murked. But I think his other spells are cool, too. He has a nuke, which is flavorful, but kind of whatever. It's Eruption.
Yeah.
But he's got Hand of Destruction, which...
Did you see that they changed Eruption to match him?
What do you mean they changed it to match him?
So today, in the update, they changed how the wording of Eruption. So he had the new text, and every other caster got theirs changed today.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So to read it, the attack causes fire damage on a hit. Center a cloud effect on the model targeted. The template is a hazard that remains in play for 1 round. A model without resistance fire entering their activation, the AoE suffers the fire continuous effect.
Interesting. Yeah. Let's see. He's got Hand of Destruction.
Yep.
So that's a buff for battle group damage. Works on ranged. So I don't know. Maybe people will try tyrants with the quad volley fire guns or whatever they're called. That could be pretty sweet. And then he's got Hunter's Mark for that sweet threat range. Oh, and his feat. His feat's really good. So I think it prevents enemy models from using tough in his control area. But the most important thing is he gets D3 +2 infantry models, and he gets to bring them back.
And then they get to activate and do things.
So that happens at the end of his turn. So they don't get to activate. But you can bring back solos, for example. So you can bring back Groton Keepers, Groton Champions. You can bring back,
the character solo guy. The
Alexis.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All sorts of stuff. And that, solidifies your scenario game, too, right? Because you, all of a sudden, you feat and you can contest everything that you want to.
Yeah. And his feat...
With,
remove damage for 1 round. So if your army does a bunch of damage to jacks and beasts and things... You can't, as long as they're in his control area, you can't repair them for 1 round.
Maybe I'm happy he's not going to be at Nova because
that's what I'm saying, man. I think, I don't really want to fight him yet.
The meta is going to change so hard beginning in September, because we got them, and then we've got right after that's when Crix is going to release. So Crix is going to be a new thing, and we're all going to have to adjust to Crix and recursion spam and the craziness. And the battle group stuff.
Or the command boxes.
Yep. And then the 2-player starter comes out in October. And then we start getting Gravediggers in November.
Maybe we get some new Menoth in here. I'm just saying, SFG, if you watch the podcast. You can't see the rest of my board. The entire streaming area has changed, but it's just a love letter to Menoth, including, this, which, I guess the people on stream haven't seen this. I'm going to show it off real quick.
Go ahead.
So this is my kit bashed Resnick.
It's looking good, man.
And I actually made sure that you have old Signar, Kador, and then new Signar. So we got everybody on here. Along with, if he's going to be going that fast, he needs to have 4 war horses. And then a kickback to the old Mark III when we had... Warriors of the Old Faith, I put a Kadorian War Dog on there. And then it's a heavy boy.
It's a heavy boy.
Yeah. Looks it. I actually don't think I've played against him yet.
Oh, surely you have.
No, I don't think I have.
No, he was on my team at the event.
And whenever he plays me, he always takes Chris.
Yeah, because I need more Chris. Yeah.
He only plays Resnick against me, so I've seen this squad many times.
Yeah. Hold on. You would mulch through my Krios list.
Sounds like an excuse.
Sounds like an excuse. Okay. Yes.
I hear your fear. Yeah, it's the fear coming out of you.
Tell me how you deal with those double adjudicators again.
Super easy.
Run and hide.
I just walk forward and kill him.
You do. He does.
I run in high.
Or, someone puts their caster 12 inches away and, the game is over bottom of 2. So I don't get any victory points.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing where I'd be like, you sure you want your Warcaster there?
First off, we didn't even think to measure. I thought, because I assumed, I was like, because he asked me threat ranges, and I was like, and he was measuring out threat ranges and stuff like that. And he just, then one of the last things he did was move up Harusk. And I didn't think about it. And I was like, so I was measuring stuff, and I measured to the guy he had next to Harusk. And I realized that guy was 10 inches in. And I was like, hey, do you mind if I measure to Harusk? And he's like, whatever, go ahead. And it was 11 3/4 inches. And he goes, well, luckily you can't see him. I didn't think that I had spotter with me so I could gain eyeless sight. So I charged the original target, which was the support. And so one attack went into that, killing it, and then every other attack went into Harusk.
Yep.
Guess I'm a big softie. I probably would have just been like, moving back a 1/4 inch and we'll keep playing.
Well, I actually asked him that. You can, but he was like, no. He's like, this is practice for Nova. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. So that...
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing, though, right? Is like, when you end a game like prematurely like that, I don't know how much practice it really is.
Yeah. Well, because he assumed that I was going to basically kill probably half to 3/4 of his army, the 2 Judicators, because he had overextended, because he thought he was going to be able to reach him, but he didn't. And then he realized he wasn't going to be able to do it, so he moved him up, trying to hold and corner me out of the possible zone for my second turn. And then he realized that I was going to be able to kill both of his Warjacks, the Blimp, and possibly his new, what are they called, the Cadre. Because we just did the math on it, and it would have just been bad.
Yeah. So the audience at home knows what we're talking about. So the 3 of us and several of our other community members are going to Nova Open, which is in about a month from now in Northern Virginia. And to prepare for the tournaments and stuff that are going to be there, we've started running a 100-point Scrum League, which is effectively like a tournament that's run over several weeks instead of just one day. And both Joe and Alec played games this past week. Well, actually, in the last 2 days. For the league, I had to buy this week, and so much Orgoth, and soon to be so much Crix.
And possibly new Menoth. Or I might have to buy Gravediggers.
Yeah. I mean, in our meta, I'm sure as soon as new Menoth like touches the app, that's all you're going to be playing. I mean, and proxying and doing. I mean, 100%. But look, Matt announced today that he's getting into new Crix and is building his objective set.
That's sick.
And then I think one of the new guys is also he's playing Crix right now. Is also playing. Duncan is probably playing new Crix as well.
Yeah, I can see it. I think Ross up in Hampton wants to play it too.
Okay. See the guy that was playing Taylor's Dusk.
Yeah. He wanted to play. He wanted to proxy it. Remember?
Yeah. That's right. Right.
But it would have been a little too confusing with everything else going on.
Definitely. And I definitely think that a bunch of us are going to proxy it out as time goes on. I have some Crix sitting waiting to be for me to try and proxy it out. I know JD wants to do it as well. But yeah, I think for a while at some, like probably after Nova, we're going to see like 2 or 3 Orgoth players, 2 or 3 Crix players, and there'll be the couple of us that are playing. I'm playing Winter Corp and you're playing Scorn and you're playing Menoth.
I might play Minions.
Ooh. Yeah,
well, not Minions, Blindwater.
Oh, when are you planning to switch to Blindwater?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of I know you've been thinking about it too. So
I'm gonna probably play September and most of October Blindwater, and then go back to Winter Corp in November once the 2-player starter comes out.
Are you doing it for Shadow Tongue, or are you doing it for the Shark Rider
guy? Huh? What? You
said Brian?
No, we're talking Minions. We're playing Brine Bloods. So I'm gonna play Jaga and
Blindwater, not Brine Bloods.
Blindwater. Yeah, Blindwater. I'm probably gonna play Jaga and a mix of other casters, probably a lot. I need to learn how to play with Barnabas too.
And I think he's really nasty for a slow grow league.
Yeah, and I do want to run a slow grow September, October. So I was kind of hoping that with Gen Con coming out, they'd release a bunch of info like the release schedule, which they've been talking about, and this how their new Journeyman League format's going to work, and how they've been talking about doing a 50 to 75 point casual league format. So I was hoping they would release that stuff so we could use it for an escalation league, but we'll see what happens.
You have to take it out and they do it in the spring, still a good time. You know?
Oh yeah. I'm sure I want to run escalation now, and we'll probably run another escalation in the January, February timeframe as well.
So talking about the rules and things that are possibly going to change, do you think there's going to be a point adjustment to Carver and Big Pig, and do you think there's going to be a point adjustment to Kruger or to Magnus and Invictus?
I think Magnus and Invictus are okay at 20 points. They're a powerful element, but they don't just totally dominate the game like Big Pig and Carver do. I think Big Pig and Carver need some tweaks to their rules, and they probably need to be 25 points.
Yeah.
As far as Kruger in armies like Dusk that can really benefit him, I think he's broken and powerful and should be 8 points. In other armies that aren't Dusk, 5 or maybe raise him to 6 points would be fine.
Or just remove him from Dusk.
Yeah, I mean, there is...
That's a spicy idea.
Well, I mean, all the mercs work well for him.
Synergies with him too, right?
Yeah, all the mercs work well for Dusk, so... Because a lot of their abilities and spells and things target friendly model instead of friendly faction model.
That's very true.
I don't think we know what Steamforged's approach to balance is going to be, and to what extent that's a priority for them right now. Did they do that kind of stuff for Guild Ball?
Yeah, and they did it a lot.
Open up that can of worms. Let's stay positive and happy. And...
I don't know. Yeah. I didn't play. I'm curious.
Alec did.
That's why I did, and I'm just let's talk about Warmachine. We're gonna see how they do. Maybe they're gonna adjust it differently than how they did for Guild Ball. I'm hoping they're gonna play test and work through it, and we're not gonna see sweeping changes.
I mean, a lot of the same people that yes, there is more hands in the pot now, and there are different groups working on this, but a lot of the same people that were involved with the last update, which basically skewed Dusk to be super powerful, but then we didn't know what the Cadres were going to be like when they were coming at that point, because they skewed them to be powerful like the new Cadre stuff. But I think that there does need to be some sweeping balance across the new armies, especially if they want to keep Legacy viable. And I don't know if they do necessarily.
I don't know if they necessarily should.
Yeah, you said that last time.
I know.
So Joe, if we were going to get you into a Mark IV army, what would it have to be? Would it have to be Scorn?
No, Scorn is perfect. I don't want Mark IV Scorn.
Okay.
Though maybe I would take that weird Fiora thing. I don't know. It could be interesting.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about it. I think the faction I'm most interested in right now is Chimera.
Okay.
Just I think from an aesthetics and a painting perspective, I think that's what I'd be really into.
Yeah, they are.
They also seem really fun to play. They've got a play style I kind of like.
I think if you ever want to borrow Alec Jr.'s, more than welcome to.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I might cast around a little bit when I'm done with Nova, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of a natural turning point in our year.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically what I'm building up to as well, and then I'm gonna take it easy, run a casual league, and have some fun, and try random zany crazy stuff.
But Joe, when you qualify for Warmachine weekends or Warfare weekends, with the Iron Gauntlet qualifier that you're going to, your year's not going to be over.
There's no way in hell. Also, I've already done that. I don't need to do that again. But yeah, I don't know. So I'm excited. I probably would pick up more Scorn if they came out with more Scorn. I'm not lying.
Yeah.
But
I mean, come on.
But I'm not waiting around for it. Yeah.
I'm I'm ready for some Old Umbry spoilers.
Oh man,
I'm so ready.
I want to know what Old Umbry really is.
Oh, exactly. I really hope it's the Khador. That even if it's hordes, I really hope it's the Khador melee combat army that I've been missing. Because the legacy does
hordes. I might be interested in it.
Yeah, it's if it's hordes. I mean, it also could be monstrosities. Who knows? Or horrors, for all we know.
So Jay, there is something else we missed out talking about new stuff.
Strange Light.
Mad Gets came out with the new Strange Light Kickstarter, which is active and live now.
Yep.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but so I've been having my son read to my kids. They actually talk about the totem that we saw that was released, as well as the dais are both covered in that book.
The totem?
Oh, really?
The totem?
Oh, he's talking about the ancient monolith and the soul cairn.
Yep.
Oh,
here, hold on.
Right.
Well, let me grab them. I can tell you about that. My son's reading the books too.
Is it in the Strange Light novel?
It's in the so the soul cairn is used at the very, very end when Stratmore is talking to Old Witch right before he goes to her cave, and the sorry, I'm trying to grab this off screen.
Yeah, I have it. I own it digitally, but it's been a long time since I've read it, so I don't really remember that kind of level of detail.
Well, so I got on the Kindle, and then we also have the audiobook, so we'll put it on for the road trips. But Alec Jr. was rereading it, and he goes, "Oh, Dad," he goes, they talk about this exactly with the face and the spikes and the fire and everything coming off, except it's supposed to be obsidian." And I was like, "Oh, well, I'm sorry it's not obsidian, buddy." But yeah, and then
I'm sorry Jay painted it and I didn't. So,
dude, you did a great job on this. I just want to say you did.
I'm happy with it.
You did an amazing job. But this is used at the very end. Old Witch stands on it when she is on her big walker.
That makes sense. That makes sense with her ability to gather souls. So.
Yep, and she then that's how she opens up the gateway, because Stratmore was like, "I don't know how you're going to get the power to activate this."
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
It perfectly fits into it.
It's how she opened the gateway and brought the Grimkin to the. That's really crazy. That's
and it
cool.
Talks about that the last Umbry lord that was sacrificed on the altar was death by 1,000 cuts, and then his body and stuff was fell or absorbed, or his essence was absorbed into the altar, and that's what she's stepping on to open it up.
Wow!
And I was like, holy cow, this is that's a throwback to years ago, and here we have these models now. But yeah, that the Strange Light Kickstarter is going on, and I am super excited. Of course, my son was like, "Dad, can we get the super fancy, $200 edition?" And I was like, "Buddy, we will see. That is kind of pricey, but it's pretty cool because it's going to come with at least 4 minis to start with."
Okay,
it's going to come
five, right? Comes with 5 base.
It comes with the bouncer, the caller,
because I showed off 5 character models. And then they've shown off the projector as well now.
Well, no, so I guess the projector would be the 5th. So the Arcanist that they show is actually the.
No, there's 5 different class models.
I'm trying to think. So you have the mechanic, you have the caller, you have the bouncer, you have the guy who's in the suit, and then who else? Is the leader? Is she one?
I don't know off the top of my head. I actually haven't. I'm planning to buy it from our local LGS Atlantis, so I'm not going to be participating in the Kickstarter, but I definitely will pick it up once that comes out.
Give me a sec. I will.
Yeah, no.
On my phone off screen. Anyway, so the Kickstarter's going on live. I think it has another 8 days to go. I think, unless I'm remembering wrong. Hold on. Yeah, I am right. It is 8 days. Yep. I pulled that number out of somewhere, and I'm happy that worked.
And we've reached it's definitely funded, and we've reached the first stretch goal. Is that right?
Second stretch goal is what I heard.
Well, I know that they added the viewer. I don't know the projector. I don't know what the second. What's the other stretch goal that they've reached?
Hold on. The stamp.
Okay.
All right, so it is the bouncer, the caller, the investigator, the jammer, and then the strange-like mechanic.
Yep.
And then they also show the arcanist, but the one on the card that they're showing is Eilish Garrity, but then they do have a sketch of one as well, which obviously isn't. So probably it's a perfect call to use your Eilish Garrity for that one.
Yeah.
What is a jammer?
So a jammer is like he's the guy that takes the blows. So he has 2 gauntlets, and he's basically supposed to go and try to like push them gently or possibly hit them. Whereas the bouncer has this big stick that's electrified, and he hits them with it, or possibly other people is always the joke in the books. To try to encourage bandits, the authorities, or spectral things to step back.
Got it.
He's basically like the tank of the party.
Well, no. So the bouncer would be almost like the DPS,
right?
Whereas the jammer is the tank.
That's what I was talking about. He was asking about the jammer, so I was saying he's the tank.
Yeah, I was going to say the bouncer sounds almost like a barbarian or something like that.
Pretty much.
That's cool.
But with tech stuff.
But like weird tech, right?
Yeah. Definitely weird tech.
Okay, so far the Strange Light patch has been unlocked, and the projector miniature has been unlocked.
Yeah, I really wish they were selling the miniatures. You could just order the miniatures separately on the Chaos. I would definitely do that if they were. But
I'd absolutely. I'd order several of the projectors. They look really cool.
Yeah, I'm hoping they do that by the end of the campaign. I've sort of been watching it, waiting for them to add that as an option. Most of them don't right away, and then right before it closes, they'll add like all the special things as separate purchasable items.
You know what I noticed in this? So they have like, it's unlocked and locked.
Right.
Normally they would tell you a tier, like at this many dollar amount, this dollar amount.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeing that pop up.
Yeah.
What? So they're just what's going to unlock, what's not going to unlock.
Mm-hmm.
But they are going to have some pretty cool, interesting thing like some of the case files that you're going to be able to do. Man, I wish that they were doing some of the clear resin that they have, or some of the clear minis, because some of those would look perfect.
I think they're trying to take them into. They're going to release them as HIPS models, probably.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So they're probably not going to do the clear. I mean, they could do. There are ways to print HIPS models, print clear models. But I think they're probably going to do them as HIPS plastic.
Oh, hey, Jay.
Yeah.
Add-on Marketplace. So if you do the standardized pledge for $25, you can pick up an additional set of miniatures.
Yeah, I'm just looking for the miniatures because I want to buy the actual rule books for Atlantis.
Okay. If you want, I can just if I do it, I will add
it on. Yeah. Well, we can talk about it off. All right, guys.
I'll think. So sorry, we got off on a big tangent.
We did.
Sorry,
we did.
Super excited about
it's us.
Strange Light.
And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how you add it into our the campaign when we eventually get back to it.
What? You think I haven't already?
I'm sure you have. But we definitely need to figure out a time to play in August if we can, and if not, September. Though you're having
August.
Yeah.
I have. So I have some real world stuff that's going to be taking a lot of my time in August.
Yeah.
But September looks like it should be pretty good for us.
Okay.
Depending on family and whatnot. I mean, most of my time in August is going to be real world stuff, the family, and then the other thing, of course, is going to be prep for Nova.
Mm-hmm.
And with the fact that I am the primary caregiver to my children, I really want to make sure that my wife has a little bit of an easier time before I go on leave for 5 days and just
makes sense.
Deuces.
All right.
Yeah, I feel that.
Anybody else want to mention anything else about what's we've seen from SFG for the last month or so since our last cast?
Ooh, the community survey. Everybody should go do it.
Yeah.
And if you do, please mention that you watch our podcast.
That would be helpful.
I would love to be on the other side and getting those surveys. I would love to see what they do with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to.
I'm like a data guy, right?
Yeah.
So
me as well.
I can't help but think about like what are they trying to learn? What can you learn from this? What kind of actions do you take? All that good stuff.
Based on your briefing, I would have never guessed you were a data
guy. No.
No, not at all.
I just like tracking stuff in spreadsheets. So I'd want to get all that information, compile it into the spreadsheet, and look at the graphs, look at the information and what they tell us.
Yeah. See what's surprising, see what matches what you thought.
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
Absolutely.
It's like Christmas, right? When they get to open that thing up and they're like, ooh, what's inside here?
I don't know if it's quite that, but yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's the way I'd feel about it for sure.
Well, you should do a survey for the next for the community to fill out about the next event.
Yeah, maybe I should. Then I could try to guess. I could anonymize it and then just spend the whole time trying to guess who said what. Perfect.
Well, if
I wouldn't say men off at all, just for that reason.
If SFG has any idea of who I am, there is no way with the information I put into my survey that they can't figure out it's me. There's no way. I went above and beyond. I probably spent 6 hours filling out my survey.
Dang, Jay.
I went, like, all of the fill-in sections are, like, full-on mini essays about various things.
I thought my hour was bad.
Oh, yeah. No, I stopped what I was doing and processed it for, like, 6 hours.
And if any of the listeners are looking for it, if you go on the SFG website and you go to the Warmachine subsection, when you hit the community page, they have it linked to the survey.
And SFG is Steamforged Games.
I'm hoping they know who Steamforged Games is.
Who knows? Maybe they're checking out Warmachine and they're seeing what they think, and they find our podcast.
Those poor souls.
I mean,
and they've already listened to us ramble for 40 minutes.
I mean, let's be
so
honest.
they had bad judgment, right? So they probably need help.
Mm-hmm. You know that our 3 listeners are your mom, and my mom.
We actually have I think 15 followers or something like that.
Hey, it's a lot of moms.
Yeah, a lot of moms. Couple of geeks, nerds.
May not be praised.
A couple of them are my other Facebook account, my other YouTube accounts. Who knows?
Probably.
All right, so let's get to the topic of the main event. The main topic of this podcast. So events. We've just gotten done running the community's first big event for Mark IV. Thank you, Joe, again for running that and organizing it and contacting Privateer about it. I think it was something that I wouldn't have probably have even considered doing if until you said, "Hey, I'm just going to go get that information from Privateer," and that was really great that you did that. So,
not gonna lie, I was drinking a beer when I first came up with it, so it's always helpful, right?
Yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol.
It gave me the courage to make the best / worst decision, right?
And then you kept asking me stuff in the back, and I kept giving you tips.
Yeah, that was great. I got a ton of support. People were really interested in it. Clearly not a thing that you do alone, but something that turned out really good. So, what should we say about it? Should we talk about the event, or do you want to talk about the planning?
Let's talk about events and organizing events first, and then we'll talk about your experience with organizing this event and what you experienced from doing it, and then we'll talk about the actual event and what we learned.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
So first things first, what is important when it comes to running an event? What do you need to do? What do you need to have? What planning needs to go into it? What prep work needs to go into it, etc. What do you guys think?
Definitely, you need to make sure you have a good support system that can work with you, because none of us have the free time to go do everything.
Right.
So making sure that someone can go and talk to people, someone else can write a post. You always have to have the chief, who's at the head, who's going to be like, hey, I need these things accomplished. And then you need, people underneath who can.
Okay. So you need to have support. You need to have, but what else do you need? Do you need to You just feel like, hey, we're all going to get together and everybody bring 50 points and we'll just throw armies on the table and see what happens? Or do you need to have a plan?
Well, I mean, obviously you're going to have to come up with a plan. So you're going to, before you ever actually bring it up to your group or to over the community, sit down, take 30 to 45 minutes, do a small little action plan of like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is the people I want to, try to bring in, both new and existing members.
Right.
Let's see if we can do this point level. Let's see if we can do this scenario and stuff like that. And, then once you have that, then you're obviously going to go to your people. Joe?
Yeah, so maybe like a goal, right? Like where you want to end up. Like when I was thinking about this, I specifically didn't want to do something competitive, right? I mean, I really like just playing steamroller games. Like that totally works for me, but that's like, I specifically wanted to get away from that for this. And I think the fluff is cool, right? And so I wanted to like think about, I wanted to move in that direction, see what
So let me ask you about that. Do you think having a narrative element for events is more important? And events could be leagues, it could be tournaments, it could be big mega battles, game days. There's all kinds of different events. But I think the thing we're focusing on for this is big one-day events. Either it could be a tournament, it could be a narrative mega battle, it could be a bunch of linked narrative battles. So do you think narrative is important for running a big multi-person event like this? Or do you think it can be just sort of show up and we'll play a bunch of games?
Well, I mean, I definitely think...
I think it was like frosting here, right? Like, you can't just eat a pile of frosting. It's maybe not even the best part of the cake, but it made it cool, right? It gave it some, like, it made the event unique and memorable and gave it something to, like, focus on. There are other ways to do that aren't narrative, right?
Right.
You could, like, Food Machine is an old Warmachine classic, or like, Who's the Boss, right? Both super cool, like, ideas, not necessarily narrative, but that narrative is one way to have that, like, hook for, like, this is why this event is interesting and neat and, like, worth playing in.
Right. What do you think, Alec?
I was going to say, don't forget things like Beer Machine are a really fun one. But no, I definitely think the narrative, I think, is one of those ways you're going to bring in both the competitive players, but you'll also bring in the fun players, the fluff players. Whereas if you do only tournaments, you probably won't get those narrative guys. And I think by doing things like this, like the Siege of Scarswall, I think by doing things like The Longest Night, you're going to bring in people who are going to just play for fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. At this Siege of Scarswall, you had a variety of lists. You had people bring their janky list. You had people bring their fun list. But I think a narrative is definitely a good thing. I personally prefer... Well, I loved this narrative. I love narratives at cons. I like the narratives that are more league-based, like Oblivion and things like that, or the Crossroads with Hollow Holden. I still think that was one of my favorite narratives. I mean, that and Oblivion 1 and 2 were just so good. I'm actually hoping that maybe we can do Oblivion here with with all the different people we have. I know it's not really going to be as good as it was because we're going to have to change some things for how units function and stuff.
It's also a Mark III campaign that we would be trying to run in Mark IV. I think taking if we were to one option of something we could do is we could try taking the structure of Oblivion and creating our own missions, take our favorite missions and scenarios and things, and create our own narrative based upon what's going on with our league or going on with the Warhammer fluff.
Oh, I think
the Warmachine fluff. Sorry.
I mean, I know my group in Germany actually started writing up their own missions for different, using the Oblivion system and then just trying to do it. So, yeah, I definitely think that'd be a great thing we could do for a more local play. Yeah,
maybe we could adapt some of the Battleforge missions.
Yeah, we could do that. I don't know if we should take the Battleforge missions because those are kind of their own thing. Maybe
there's also the Mark IV campaign. Me and JD played through the first season of it, and it definitely has a little bit of the feel of Oblivion. Black Tide.
Yes.
And there's 4 seasons of that, so that might be something that we could try running at some point.
Definitely.
If people are interested in that.
I mean, I think that'd be cool. Anything that kind of, at least I think locally, gets us a little bit away from the like intense head-to-head competition, I think is like probably a good thing. I mean, and I love that. Like that's my bread and butter. Like that's red meat for me, you know. But
wait, you're competitive?
I think it's not. But it's not good for like. It doesn't grow a community, you know.
Yeah, it's funny. So this community has existed since 2016, and the majority of the time this community has existed, it's been a very narrative-focused community. People weren't interested in tournament play. They weren't interested in playing on clock. They weren't interested in being the ultra-competitive. There were those of us in the league that went to tournaments and focused on that kind of play. But for the majority of the community, wasn't that. And this version of the community, since you guys joined, has definitely been very, very, very tournament-focused. And I think getting back to a mix would be good.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
I want both, right?
Yep.
Like, you know.
I definitely think...
Sure.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think after Nova, I think all of us are going to get enough games in at Nova that we are probably going to be definitely looking more towards a narrative feel, because I think all of us are, I mean, not be maybe burned out, but we are definitely going to be at that point where we're probably going to be like, hey, you know what? I don't need to do another Steamroller right now.
Yeah. Nova's interesting, and I went last year, and I've been in the past. I think that Nova is interesting because it's an intense amount of tournament games back to back to back to back to back. But then it also is, we get to experience the community through a lot of different people's eyes, people from other regions, other areas, and for me, last year, it really recharged my batteries, and it really made me excited to be playing Warmachine. And I'm hoping that it does that for you guys too. But I agree, I think that for the rest of this year, probably after Nova, will be a little more narrative focused, a little bit more, we'll run some sort of league in the fall. We'll do...
Yeah, I think the new guys from Tower would love doing some kind of slow grow. I think that would be perfect.
They asked me about a campaign, so we'll see.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm into that
campaign.
too.
So maybe some sort of campaign this fall. I'm gonna have big September. I'm pretty open. October, I'm gone for like the middle of the month, and then November and the holidays are obviously gonna come up. So we'll have to have some flexibility in schedule with how the campaign works. But I definitely think that's something that could happen.
I guess depending on how my surgeries go, I might be out of it for. Like I'll see if I can get a ride or stuff like that, but I might not be able to stand for 90 minutes.
Yeah, I definitely think that you're gonna have to take it easy this fall.
Man, I was actually 3D printing fog machines so that when we do hopefully a Longest Night, I'm really hoping SFG puts out a new Longest Night. I think that was one of my favorite things that Privateer used to do, and it was fun. It was like little candy things and silly missions, but it was also had a little bit of a feel. Always, call back to the Grimkin, which I feel like they haven't really talked about much. I know they're by Legacy, but I think doing that would be a great step for them to bring the community together.
It's interesting because none of the communities. So I've been or led 3 communities in my lifetime. Longest Night has been a thing that's been coming out for ages, and I remember playing in some of them. But for me, Longest Night has never been a really like big event, and for you, it seems to be like
huge
heyday, the big thing of the one of the big events that happened every year.
Well, yeah, because you had people both cosplay for it, and they cosplayed while they were playing their armies. So you had people dress up like werewolves because they were playing Circle. There was one time I dressed up as High Reclaimer. Like, there's been so many things because you can get bonus points or stuff like that for dressing up, for having, different things, for bringing candy, for eating candy, or, doing silly different things. Dude, Longest Night, man. I think I still have all of the rules saved somewhere around here. Yeah. I mean, that's why, like, when I showed up, I think you remember, I was like, here's Longest Night 2016. Here's Longest Night 2017, 2018. Like, all the patches.
I definitely think it's something we should look at running in October. And It's going to be a little tough for me because I'm going to be gone for like basically a week or two in the middle of October.
Well, that's why we got to go.
Oh, right, exactly. But I think that something like that could be really fun to run.
Yeah, I'd love to. I've never seen one. I don't know what it is.
Really?
It's Halloween adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the ones that I remember,
about it, man.
The ones that I remember effectively have like a Frankenstein or a creature that sort of roams the board and hunts models, and when you kill it or damage it, it disappears and it pops up somewhere else on the table.
So there's so much more than that. There were ones where there were zombies that spawned. There were ones with bully mogs where you couldn't kill them; you could only knock them at your opponent. But if it hit your board edge, your opponent scored a point. So it was basically like playing Pong. And then there was one with these lampposts where if a certain thing happened and you weren't near a lamppost, your pieces died. And I don't mean like, knocked over. I mean, they're removed from play because the things that go dark in the night ate them. And that was like, it was one of those things like, you'd be like, oh, if I can sprint across here and kill him, it's going to be fine. Unless my opponent rolls a 6 for this scenario and the scenario moves forward and I'm not near a lamppost and now my giant judicator is gone. I'm not speaking from experience or anything.
It sounds awesome. I'd love to give it a go. Let's see what that's like. Yeah. I like it too because it's like just a single day, right?
Yep.
It helps.
Oh, yeah.
Easier to get it together. If it's just a one-day event, it's kind of easier to get people to come out for it, right? Less of a commitment. So
just make sure you don't do it.
I mean, the theme sounds awesome. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, it's Halloween adjacent, but we don't want to be on Halloween, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would probably be like the weekend before or the weekend after or something like that.
Yeah, maybe the weekend after.
I know you would dress up like Makeda, and I just can't wait to see that.
Dude, I've been thinking about that for Nova. Like, I really want to. I just don't know where I'm going to find the time. Like, I would love to dress up like Xerxes, with the 2, like, pillars of Halach, and just come to King of Coins and, like, claim the whole thing and, like, just bring Western Imran to heel. Like, that's my power fantasy, man. Like, maybe not this year, but some year it's going to happen. I gotta learn about cosplay, though. I've never done that.
For this year, for King of Coins, I am coming as Fat Amon. I have a mask, I have a ball and chain, and I have a kilt that he basically wears. Or no, he is not, or does he have balloon pants? Whichever. I haven't looked at below the waist. I just thought, like, I need a mask, which I got, and Fat Amon. It's Amon's gone on hard times. And that's what I'm planning. As long as they don't kick me out of the event, I'm going to be Fat Amon the entire weekend.
Yeah. Well, coins locked tonight, so I think you guys have your coins.
All right.
Oh shoot, I do. I got the Menoth coin.
You have the Menoth coin. Joe has the Scorn coin. We have 2 more. We have Taylor has the Rhett coin, and then Richard has the Grimkin coin. And if Richard can't go for
the Infernal coin,
didn't you trade the Infernal coin for the Scorn coin?
Yeah.
I did. You're right. Yeah, I did a trade. Yep, I carried it up. Or no, did I trade? I don't know if I traded it.
You took it up there and came back with the Scorn coin. No, I don't have one.
No,
I don't have one. I'm the backup. So if any of you guys have to drop or can't play, I'm gonna take your coin and fill in the spot effectively.
Love it. Very good. I think we have the Infernal coin.
No, we don't.
We don't.
When you went to
Maryland, you traded it out for the Scorn one. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yeah.
He won.
And then I think it's up in like Michigan now.
It's funny. You guys know more about it than I do.
So there's a tracker. There's a tracker list that I have access to. So.
Oh, okay.
Same with me. We both have. And I've been watching that because I was like, I wanted to see if anyone was going to possibly come and try to steal the Menoth one. And by steal, I mean crush me into oblivion with my poor Menoth army.
Yeah, no one came. I mean, Joe went out and went after the Scorn coin, and I wish I'd been able to go out and go after a coin or two myself. But no one came here, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I was surprised, especially with as many coins as people knew, along with we have a very regular play area with that everybody always shows up on Sunday, or, according to the rules, you can lay a challenge, but no one laid any challenges. I was a little surprised. I am just very excited that I was able to possibly hold the old Menoth coin until we have the new Menoth coin. I know, it's okay. We're not getting new Menoth. I think we are. Keep lying to myself.
I really do think that in 2025 you'll get new Menoth. I'm predicting that the next army after them is going to be Rule. But that's me.
Ooh, that would be fun, especially because their gods are still alive.
Their gods are still alive. They took in the most refugees and created 3 new cities after Oblivion. They've been in the fluff twice at major events, and they don't have a presence. So,
they also expanded their main mountain keep too. It's bigger. They literally made a mountain bigger. Yep. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, they had the most influx of refugees and technology. They were in the most recent Crick story. They were in Dragonfall. We definitely know that Gorton and who's the general? Ostrom. We definitely know they're both alive. So
yeah, they didn't lose anyone, did they?
I don't think so. I think Madcap might Madhammer might have died, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I don't know if they did. I don't remember if he. I didn't think that the Rulik ventured forth. I thought they went back to their mountain to like.
They were involved with Oblivion. I'm pretty sure they were. Whatever.
No, I mean it's fine. I didn't think that they had.
All right. I didn't. More tangents. At some point in the near future, we'll have an episode and talk about the fluff we know and where it's gone with Oblivion. And Alec and I will do a bunch of research, and hopefully maybe we'll have a guest on that can talk about that.
Man, you know what? I have to shoot him another message.
Yeah. That's more information than they need to know. We might have a guest that has some good knowledge that'll be able to talk to us about that in the future.
And see, what I like about this is I have no idea what you're talking about actually. So, on the...
Yep. Well, I mean, you said it yourself. You're sort of getting into the fluff for the first time with this league is sort of interest you. And so now you need to go back and start listening to and researching more of that stuff, because let me tell you, Warmachine's fluff has kept me involved in this game in my low points and my high points. And it really matters to why I'm still playing and why I love Warmachine as much as I do. All right.
It's interesting how much it made the game come alive for me, I think.
Yeah. And there are some really cool time periods that we could run really cool events for. But, all right. So, Joe, talking about your experience with it coming alive, let's talk about your experience in running and organizing the Siege of Scarswall.
Yeah, so definitely had a lot of good mentorship from you and Alec doing it, and a lot of help from the community getting ready.
Mm-hmm.
I think we started planning almost 3 months out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we came up with the idea that we wanted to do it, and then I think we set the date 2 months out. And I thought that might be a really long time, but I would never have said it any earlier. It seemed like just enough time to get everything ready.
Yeah, I think at first we had talked about, you started talking about this in March or April?
End of April, I think, yeah.
And we looked at June, and none of us could really do it, and so we pushed it to July, and it was really great that we pushed it to July.
Yeah, I think we would have been really struggling.
Yeah.
I think we came up...
making sure we did all the behind-the-scenes stuff before we actually announced publicly was a big thing for us. So, we talked about it. I think working on it or talking about it and getting that set before we went public was definitely an advantage for the event succeeding.
So, talk about what you do. What did it take to run this event, Joe? What planning did you do? What preparation did you do? Talk about the fluff and how you came up with the fluff.
Yeah, so let's see. So planning on a couple of different work streams, right? So one thing was for me and the way my mind worked, I wanted a set of rules. Like that would be kind of the first thing that would help this thing come alive for me. And so that was about like getting the rules from Privateer. We all met together one Sunday and kind of talked through it, and we talked through some ideas. I spent some time like writing down the rules like more precisely, which I think was really good for clarifying, how I thought this event would run and helping me visualize in my mind like what it would look like. So that was one part of this.
How hard? Let me ask the question there. How hard was it to tweak the rules they gave you and make it into something that could be run in a single day?
I don't think it was too bad. I mean, I like that kind of thing, right? So that was joyful for me. And I mean, I had a lot of uncertainty about what would work and what wouldn't work, right? But I also felt like one, would be okay with modifying on the fly, and two, that having a perfect rule set wasn't like a prerequisite for having a good time. Like I wanted just enough structure to allow us to like get together and do this thing. And I think we got there.
I agree.
In some ways, what we ran was less complicated than Privateer, and in some ways, what we ran was like more complicated. But I think we made like pretty good choices for the setup we had. The thing I was most nervous about was the side tables.
Okay.
So we had like these. What did we end up calling it, Jay? Help me remember.
They were bounty tables.
We didn't call them bounty tables. We had a good name for this.
I'll tell you in a second.
They were originally called bounty tables.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
They were like we were like calling them skirmish missions and talking back and forth, and we've decided they needed an actual name.
They needed a cool name because they were cool, and we didn't want people to be.
Well, you know what you didn't mention?
Cursed cleansing missions.
Yeah, the cursed cleansing missions, those side missions. I was worried about like, would they be fun? Would people feel left out of not being on the big table? Would they be impactful? And I think they were all of those things. So I was really happy that turned out.
So do you think the overall event was successful?
Well, yeah, I mean, of course.
Well, no.
Well, just Alec, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you very clearly.
I said, do you think the overall event was successful? Because you talked about changing different things.
Well, let's go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I definitely like some of the changes that were made. So you said you called them the cleansing tape or the
cursed cleansing. Cursed cleansing.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, so these were like side missions where we actually didn't get any fluff about what was going on in them when we got the mission. So I kind of made it up, but I think this is probably true. So like there are the Soul Cairns are spread throughout Western Immorin, and like the Orgoth have set up these like arcane camps where they're trying to do like thaumaturgy and infernal magic and stuff, and doing blood sacrifice, and they're using the like magical energy, and they're using the monoliths to like actually transmit that energy to the front and power the Garlghasts and the Orgoth war effort. And so this is about like the Orgoth side, like standing on the Soul Cairns and claiming that power, and then the defenders are all trying to destroy the monoliths and prevent that power from being transmitted. And like I thought the narrative of it was cool. The coins were really useful. That was actually the only way the attackers were able to make progress on the main table, or like the main component of it.
And they were rough to deal with.
Yeah, and those tables came out beautiful. Like, and that's thanks to Alec, who had a ton of really cool terrain. We found a nice mat, and we dropped the cool terrain on it, and we put on the nicely painted Soul Cairns, and those tables looked great.
So what do we have to do to prep, like, you talked about tables looking great. What did we do to prepare for this event?
Yeah, so we knew, so the center of this is like kind of a terrain-driven event, right? So the main focus of this is the big Scarswall on this big 12-foot table, and then we've got these side tables that are also driven by narratively by the Soul Cairns and the monoliths. And Alec had this like cool idea that he wanted to paint a bunch of buildings, and so we did we wanted some more building terrain for the community, and we wanted to set up sort of like a little city outside of Scarswall. And so Alec printed a bunch of buildings. So to get all this stuff like assembled, one, we were lucky. We have a bunch of terrain as a community, and in part from Alex and your personal collections. Yep. But for the buildings, we did like a building painting contest,
which was a very cool idea. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that turned out sweet. I mean, everybody painted a building, and I mean, we used 2 of them on my game that we played today. So it's like a good community building long term, and like really set the mood. I loved the windmill that I got to paint. So that was one part, is we did a building painting contest. Yep. And Jay, you encouraged us to have like a community painting day, and that turned out really well. I've never hosted anything like that before, but I was surprised. Fun. We got a bunch of people who showed up, and we just,
knocked it out.
Talked Warmachine and knocked out the wall for like 4 hours, and we made a ton of progress that day. Yep. And Jason took the lead on getting the wall printed and doing a ton of the painting, and so that was awesome too. So yeah, I think most of the biggest chunk of our effort went into getting terrain ready for this, and it absolutely paid off.
So I think that
one of the coolest parts is just seeing everything laid out before we even had any models on the table.
And if I remember to do it, you'll be seeing pictures of the layout. I actually took some and posted them, so we have some good photos of that. But yeah, so I think the important thing to glean from this is that it's important to have a plan. It's important to sort of come up with an idea and a reason why you're playing. It doesn't necessarily have to be you're fighting over Scarswall or battling over a certain area. It could be just that, hey, you want to come together and get a bunch of donate a bunch of canned food to your local food bank, like Food Machine, and play some wacky fun games. But having a plan is a good idea. And then getting the community involved in preparing for that plan, whether it's printing and building terrain, making terrain, organizing armies, making sure people have models to play with that they want to play with. But coming together as a community and organizing it as a community is a big part of running one of these events. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I hadn't thought about it, but like, supposing I had infinite free time, and if I had just prepared all of this, like, on my own, it wouldn't really have worked, right? Enlisting everybody and getting everybody to pitch in. I mean, people want to do that thing; they like it, and I think that's part of what made the event so cool.
Yeah. I think the other thing that it really helped for our community is it got everyone painting their stuff.
Yep.
Like individually, people were posting in our personal Discord. They were posting, oh, look, hey, I got this thing done. Oh, hey, I got more of this thing done.
Yep.
I worked on my shrine. I worked on buildings. Joe went and just started stripping things and doing new models. I mean, everybody, heck, even my son started really crushing through his Chimera so that they were fully painted for the event. And then, of course, I go on and give him Big Pagan Carver, who doesn't have a fully painted army.
And then we had three.
All of our Orgoth players painted their armies for this event, which is sweet. And
especially their Gargoths. Yeah, all 5 Gargoths?
3, right?
How many do we have? 3?
4.
We had 4 painted Gargoths there. So
yeah,
I don't know. Counting is hard. But they all look beautiful.
Yeah. And some of those probably wouldn't have gotten done at all if we hadn't been pushing and involved and talking and making sure people were doing things, which I think is a very good lesson to learn, even just from a community standpoint at all, is sharing what you're doing, sharing the models you're painting, inspiring people to paint their own stuff is very helpful. And one of these events is a very good way to motivate people to put in that effort. All right. So we've talked about what's important in running an event. We've talked about our experience. We've talked about some old events that the longest night events that we've experienced and run and played in the event, and why it's important to have a theme or an idea behind. But so now let's talk about the actual event that we ran. Joe, tell us.
I was wondering if we'd get here.
We will.
Yeah, so it was a great event. We had 13 people show up. I think it felt like basically 100% of the community, or at least all the people I know.
We were missing a couple people. Matt couldn't make it at last minute.
Oh yeah,
AJ, that is Taylor's podcast partner, was stuck at home with the kids because his wife is deployed.
Robbie couldn't make it out.
Robbie couldn't make it out because he's dealing with some family stuff. But for the most part, our core community was there. Yep.
Yeah. So everybody made it out. We got there early and we set up the tables, and they looked great. Like it was really cool to see the whole. Our main table was this 12-foot long, 12-foot by 4-foot table with a wall running all up and down one side.
So
and it looked epic.
Watching you set it up.
So
we opened up all the terrain, we started pulling terrain out, and we just kind of sat back and watched Joe. So we set up the whole wall, and then we just let him just
tweak it,
walk over, grab this, and adjust this, and grab some terrain.
It was fun. I was telling a story in my head, right? I'm like, okay, so this right section, like it has the windmills. That's where all the fields are. They grow the grain there. Yeah. The center is like the city, so that's where the buildings are, and that's kind of the main approach. And then the other side is sort of this like wetlands with like this huge bridge that JD painted and all our water features. Yeah. And then cool. I don't know, the side tables just came together by themselves. Like we had Duncan's really cool Crix shrine. His Soul Cairn.
Soul Cairn, yeah.
It looked incredible. Yeah. And we had this whole like deserty kind of wasteland themed table that we built around it. Yeah.
Yep. And Taylor was like, "We need an ice table." And
we're like, all right.
I didn't know I got to put my hot pink Soul Cairn on it. I thought it looked good with the blue. I was pleased.
Is that where that ended up? I didn't realize that's where that ended up.
Yeah. So, from my experience, I got to play on one of the side tables, and then towards the end, I played on the main table. And let me tell you that the Cursed Cleansing mission was really fun, and me and Duncan had a good time. I felt like his list was a little underpowered compared to mine, but he still was able to stay on the Soul Cairn for most of the battle and give the Orgoth and the invaders a bunch of coins, and I was able to get 2 of the 3 monoliths, which was rough.
Mm-hmm.
And
you got the most. I underestimated how hard that was.
Yeah, and I built my list to kill them, and it still took me like 4 turns to kill the 2.
Yeah, that was some of the feedback I actually heard from the defenders on the side tables.
Yeah,
is that it's so hard to try to get to those,
especially the back one.
Yeah, well, it was just but to try to do that, and then versus. All the attacker had to do was just keep putting a unit on top of the Karn and just standing. So that might be something we might want to possibly look at changing in the future or adjusting something. But I think it looked great. When I took a couple minutes away from the main table to watch it, that was a lot of fun to watch those tables.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we should look at. Whether or not it's because when Joe and I had originally been talking about the mission, and we had talked about making it so that you could contest the center if you were within 2 inches instead of having to be on it. But that seemed too easy to do, and just to sort of be able to never let the opponent score the center just by always keeping something close. But maybe we need to revise that and look at that.
Jay, I feel like I should describe the main table. Because we've talked about the side one a lot, and we haven't talked about the
absolutely
main one.
Do it. I mean, I only played on it for like the last 2 hours of the event, and I barely did anything.
So the main table was the big 12-foot wide one.
Yep.
And we played 4 players per side at a time. Mm-hmm. So 8 players on the table. The goal is for the Orgoth players are trying to get their Garlghasts or their Colossals to the wall to break down pieces in the wall. Mm-hmm. So the rule I came up for winning was we had 3-inch wall sections, and for the Orgoth to win, they had to break the wall in 2 places, and each break had to be 3 sections wide, so 9-inch break. They could do it by using a star action to shoot with their Colossal from 14 inches, and that would do 1 damage point to a piece of wall. Wall has 2 hit points. Or they could get to the wall in melee, and a melee attack would just bring down a whole section in one go. Mm-hmm. And then they got special resources from the side tables, and if they so they could get, I think we called them like thaumaturgic tokens or something like that.
Yep.
And so if you could change 2 of those to do a 3-inch move with your Colossal and make a melee attack against the wall. And so the Orgoth invader players were all trying to move their Garlghasts really close to the wall to break holes in it. and the defenders are just holding on tight for the whole 5-hour time span.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I don't know if worked or didn't work was when a player's army was really hurting. So when they lost
mm-hmm.
their Warcaster, when they lost their Colossal, or when they'd lost more than half their army, they could retreat and pull their army off the table, and then we let them immediately redeploy it, which was cool because it kept the table really full,
mm-hmm.
but also created all sorts of shenanigans. So I don't know what you guys thought about that mechanic, and if you want to keep that or not, or change it.
Well, I don't know if I would keep it. I think it was fun, but it made it very difficult as a defender, wiping out half to 3/4 of someone's army, and you're like, yes, but you are already 3/4 of the way up the table, and then there's an entire new army right in your face that's ready to charge.
Yeah, it made the intensity high, right? There's never any break.
I think
just endless waves of offense. Anxiety. Yeah, it did look a little stressful. Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit. I liked it, but I don't know. Maybe change that deployment zone on the attacker, because they had 12 inches off the back. That was rough. I also don't think anyone was able to damage, much less break, any of the totems that were on the main table. So we might want to relook at that as well.
I don't think people really interacted with them. Yeah.
I tried to get all the way over there. I couldn't reach them.
What did they... so the reason the totems ended up on that table was because we had we ended up only running 2 side tables. And so we had an extra set that ended up on the main table. What rules did you... What did that advantage... Did they get an advantage from sitting on the Soul Cairn on the main table? And was there some sort of advantage for destroying the monoliths?
I just treated them like the rules from the Steamroller. None of the special... mostly I just wanted them to look cool, and wasn't concerned about them powering the scenario element.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But I could see if you didn't have side tables, you might want them to do something.
Yeah. Absolutely. Alec, why don't you talk about your epic 5-hour defense in the center of the table?
Yeah,
because that's momentous, and I saw almost none of it. I saw the little bit of the end of it, but I've heard epic tales from a lot of people about it. So let's hear it.
All right. So I had 2 different lists, but I primarily ran one list that was Resnick.
Okay.
With double Judicators and double. What was it? It was Resnick with Adjudicator, since these were unlimited games.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second Adjudicator was powered by Sevi Zero, which is the Journeyman version.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a Choir, and then finally it finished it out with 2 units of Zealots. And the only reason it was Zealots instead of something else was because Joe told me how much he hated Zealots. And I was like, well, they obviously need to be at the table now. And
I do. I really do.
I worked really hard on trying to hold. So I made the joke. I was like, I'll hold the Sen on. No one's going to break men off. And that was a mistake, because people were basically just turning to go after my giant Judicators, because they just saw 2 Judicators. So and everybody was like, I just want to kill one of those today. That is my entire goal, just kill a Judicator. And so I worked really hard on trying to make sure I positioned, and I had to make sure that if I took out someone's army, I took it out. But then I would leave myself exposed to the next person coming in, or to someone from one of the side areas coming in. So for first off, I held the center, and across from me was 2 of our Orgoth players.
Mm-hmm.
One was obviously Taylor, the Ice King, and then the other one was Matt. And I, instead of trying to split power, it wasn't Matt, it was Mike. Sorry, it was Mike.
Yeah.
It was Mike. And instead of trying to split my power, I kind of put Mike out to dry, and I focused completely on him. And I was able to charge in because he left his Garlgast within 12 inches of Adjudicator, which is one of those things you don't want to do, especially if Resnick can put Boundless Charge on it. And I think it was with Eye of Menoth and the Choir bonus, I think it was dice plus 6. And I didn't have to pay for the charge attack. So in 4 attacks, no, it was maybe, I can't remember. It was something. It was bonkers. Mm-hmm. I took it off. I took that off with just one Judicator, while the second then went and focused on the rest of his army. And then I turned and worked on Taylor, and I don't think Taylor was expecting me to be able to do that quickly. So that was the first round, which is wild, or the first round as the defenders. The attack was obviously first. And then that was the start of my day. And then my day just kept, it was rinse and repeat. And I realized I actually I couldn't overextend like I did, because I immediately, when the Crix player came in, when Duncan came in, he took Adjudicator straight off the table. So I spent, I think, the 5 hours we were there, I spent 4 hours at the main table. And I want to say, while I was holding the center, none of the center walls got damaged, much less broken. And then finally, I kind of needed a little bit of a mental break. So I retreated my army. And we realized that by me retreating, the right side needed help because they had already had 2 chunks taken out. Mm-hmm. So I deployed to the right side, and I then, again, focused on just holding it as much as possible. And it was, that was a lot of dice. I actually rolled the most triple ones that day, most double ones and most triple ones. I was actually using my wife's Grimkin dice because I couldn't find my Malak dice. And
those dice are cursed.
That was like the amount of triple one. If I wasn't at dice plus 6 for damage.
I mean, you beat me in triple ones, which is pretty crazy. I did roll one set of triple ones, but I'm the one that's
so happy.
Known for that.
I rolled it 4 times. There was the time I rolled quadruple ones. I rolled triple ones 4 times. I rolled double ones, I don't know how many times. Yeah. But yeah, that was a wild day. Lots of mental brain power. But it was so much fun. I actually have a little bit of footage from the primary table. I got to go through and adjust it a little bit. I captured it on I captured some of it on my phone and some of it on my computer, my laptop. And it's just been a thing that, along with family and everything else, I've been trying to work on that.
Hopefully that'll be up at some point in the near future.
Yeah, 5 hours of gameplay. Also, that's when you're going to be able to see both Joe's initial speech, riling up the troops, and then his chat with all of us at the end. Oh, man.
Oh yeah. So I read all of my Orgoth invasion fluff from the app, and I gave a little spiel with a map about how the invasion was going and where the Orgoth landed and where they've been attacking and the history of Scarswall and why it was important, why they were attacking there. I thought that was a lot of fun. I don't know if anyone liked it.
We liked it. We liked it, and it's why you're going to do it again at Nova.
So
that's good.
So I'm probably about 12 pages in, but I I've been writing a perspective of a Menoth forecaster that I've named. This is just me. This is, I'll give it to SFG if they want, but it's a journeyman warcaster who is there, or a senior warcaster, which is Resnick, because Resnick's not dead in the fluff, so he's there. But a journeyman warcaster who is actually, it's all everything's from his perspective. And he is on the table. My representation in my head was he was Sebi. So here you have this journeyman, and so I might have to go and delete some stuff, but my plan is to make it about 20 pages total, and it's the war from his perspective. And
that'd be cool.
You guys know if he lived or he died, you're going to have to eventually read it. But it's I think it's good. And Menoth doesn't always have the best fluff. Not fluff. We have great fluff. We don't always have the best image because sometimes people take it and go wild. And I really like the idea of some of the later Menoth fluff, especially some of the stuff from the Henchhold Scrolls from Tristan's point of view, from the Journeyman stories from Tristan's point of view, as well as Godless, which again has a lot of Tristans. Yeah. And I like that it showed a more merciful, like let's protect the innocent idea. Like the Paladin idea was also there with
the new Menite ideal.
But yeah, it's the new Menite ideal. Well, I mean, we'll see. They might not go that direction. I'm hoping they go direction, but
I mean,
I like
he is the leader, so
yes. But we will. So the story I was writing to go along with everything that was happening, including, I'd like to mention, I lost because I was able to pull them on or play. I lost 4 Judicators that day, and fluff-wise, I think the Menoth faction has 8 of those things. So if you were to take that into fluff, I lost half of their firepower of Judicators. And we didn't even hold the wall. Well, they had a minor victory. So in my mind,
they broke through, but they didn't get through.
Yeah. So in my mind, like I feel like it was very hard for the defenders to win at all. But in my mind, we did very well holding the wall.
Ugh. So I came on and like I talked up this big list and then came on and my opponent's army was everything that ignored it.
That was so rough. I walked over and I was like, "Are you ready to go?" And you're like, "This is my opponent." I was like, "Well, you're both." And I was like, "I need to go I need to get some sugar and some caffeine to get back to the main. Good luck. Menoth be praised."
Azella was rough. Playing into Azella was rough.
Yeah, that seemed cool.
So talk about
a really good thing. Go ahead.
So I was going to have Joe talk about his experience with. What'd you see? What'd you like? What moments really stick out to you?
What did I see? I mean, just like the broad impression of like the terrain and seeing all the people playing on it, I thought was awesome. It's cool to see all the different like people in the community, rubbing elbows and getting kind of stressed out on the defense together. That was fun. It's fun to see Alec and his son like holding the center together. I loved it when like. So Jason and JD were like fighting on the right side of the table, and JD got his Garlgast all the way to the wall, and like Jason had to retreat, and then Sebastian like hopped on with his circle, like flew out of the gate and like immediately moved for the Garlgast and like took it down. Said prevented the breach from being closed. I thought that was sweet. Yeah, that was a cool moment. It's like kind of silly, but it was really fun to put your guardsmen on the wall. Like, your mortar team, like just seeing them and seeing your warcaster hanging out up there, like actually using the terrain.
Oh,
I like that.
Man, that was rough because he had he had my
score and stuff.
Yep, but he also had the Wastelander, and so what the Wastelander does is if you shoot at something, he can take the hit and then deflect it back at people.
What?
If they miss. And so one of my mortar teams shot at something important. The Wastelander took it and deflected it back at them and blew themselves up on the wall.
Range on the return shot.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
It was fun to see like Duncan hit the main table. We gave him an extra Kraken. And he just had like 2 Krakens roaming through the city, like. So
let me tell you, that is my favorite. Fun. My favorite image of the whole day was seeing the 2 Krakens and his army sort of walking forward against the 2 Judicators. I mean, that was
I was on the safe-rated side of
it. Such a cool look. At the same time, I really think that one of the things that we need to change is not giving out extra colossals.
Because
that was
100%.
That was a fun idea, but it was not a good idea.
Yeah, so like it didn't really help me. The one I put on didn't really do a lot, and I ended up giving it to your son Alec to use because it was sort of like a piece that didn't really fit with the army I was trying to run. But at the same time, I ended up on a flank with effectively like 3 or 4 colossals coming at my one little 75-point army.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, that was when he was like, "Oh, here, take an extra Kraken," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Because I was like, I can hold it, and then I see Joe being like, "Man, I feel like the attackers need something because Alex doing too well here." And I was like, "No, Alex not doing too well here. Alex played at the best of his ability. Please don't push it beyond. It cannot go any farther."
Oh
and
man!
Then, as the second Kraken came in, it showed that I was beyond the push.
Yeah.
And Menoth finally collapsed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You hear that?
Let's see.
Do you hear that laughter in his voice?
Yeah.
Like, yes, we're dead.
I don't know. I was like, we're 2 hours in. There's no breaches in the wall. Let's fix that. Like,
yep.
Let's see what else. What else is really cool? In the beginning, like, Kane did this like smart thing where he like moved towards Taylor, and they kind of like joined their forces up sort of together, and that like helped get one of the breaches started. So I thought that was sweet. When Taylor redeployed, he like ran super aggressive at the wall, and then Alex redeployed on his next turn and popped out of the gate right next to him and ran up and punched Harusk to death.
No, I killed the what was it? One Judicator ran towards Harusk. The other one ran directly towards the Garlgast. And if he had put it like a half inch, I think it was a half inch or a quarter inch further to the edge of the board, which I don't think he could have. I think he was actually at the board edge. But it was one of those things like we measured it like 3 times, and it's like, nope, I'm in by like a millimeter. And that's what it was. Like, we were joking that it was a game of millimeters. And I was able to, in one turn, kill Harusk and kill a Garlgast. And I was like, okay. Well,
no, I think you killed the Garlgast the next turn, because that Garlgast got to the wall and punched a hole in it. I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah, he finished the hole on that side. So he finished the third breach on that side, and then you ran up and killed him before he could get through. So you prevented him from escaping. Yeah.
And then I basically parked the Judicator in front of the hole.
Yep. Because Kane was coming up behind, right? And let's see. I think JD got the killing blow on the last turn, finishing the second breach and securing the minor victory. So that was cool. Was it JD or was it Mike?
It was JD. Mike ended up JD. on the far wall with me and was the fourth Colossal, and we pushed him up, and then he ended up getting to the wall, and he broke 2 sections into the wall.
2 sections.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were working on the third breach.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, that was sweet. I liked that side of the board, even though I didn't see as much love for a little bit. But yeah. I thought we got some of the best pictures from that side.
Yeah, your mammoth sitting on top of the Soul Karen.
Soul Karen, that's hilarious.
Was it a mammoth or was it the Hydra?
It was the mammoth.
Yeah,
the Hydra was on our side too.
Idea. But yeah, I gave Richard both a mammoth and a Hydra. That was probably not well thought through. It was fun though. Yeah. I agree. No more extra Colossals. I think we did that, and it was interesting, but we probably don't need that again.
Yeah. I think it would definitely be useful having them in case people don't have their own. But I don't think adding extras is necessary.
So I was going to say, I think so. One of the things I did for the defenders was I was able to quickly finish my turn, and then I was able to go down and talk to, like, when Alex was actually, I talked to him, and then I talked to Jason, or I would talk to like different people down on the defender side, and being able to make sure that we were able to keep those turns, at least for the defenders, under 15 minutes each time. I think also on the attacker side, Taylor and JD were both doing that. I think that really helped on that side, because otherwise some of those turns, I know you said we do it at 20 minutes, but I think keeping those turns at 15 minutes apiece was key. Also, that made
it kept the event going, right? Which helped.
So many times.
Yeah,
I would include some kind of break next time. That's one thing I would definitely do.
Absolutely.
I was a little more time for us. I think that would have been really appreciated.
Yeah. So I think at Nova, either we'll need to add a break, or there might be the event might just be shorter. It might only last 3 hours, or it depends on when the ICQ ends because it's going to happen after that on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends. Like if it ends at like 8:00, we'll probably only get like I'll probably be setting up as people are finishing, and then because I'm playing in the regular tournament and not the ICQ. So
oh, you're not?
Yeah, I'm not in the ICQ. There's a 14-player 100-point tournament that's running parallel to the ICQ, and I'm in that one and not the ICQ.
Gotcha.
Because I don't want to play in the event, play through the whole event, and then have to basically skip dinner and set up. So we'll probably while people are going to get food or whatever after the ICQ, but I'm figuring it'll probably end between like 7 and 8, and then we'll probably get started like 8:39. So we'll probably have 2 or 3 hours to run the event.
Okay.
So
I was gonna say I'm not planning on playing in the Siege when we do it. I'm planning on being one of the table.
Yeah, and I think that would be helpful. Having me and you do it, and then Joe, you should definitely play if you can.
Yeah, Joe has to be the defender. He has to be the defender because I'm going to be the captain.
Oh, I feel like Scorn.
I don't know. I think he's attacking.
Yeah, I think Scorn's got to be an attacker. That's a good point. I'll have to bring a list.
Yeah,
you have 2 lists.
Yeah,
multiple lists.
I definitely think that it'll end up being a shorter event, which means that we'll probably start the wall and the defenders closer together, so that there's less distance to. I think that'll also help with what you said about having someone just redeploy immediately back on if they pull off. I think putting the deployment area and the walls closer together will allow us to be able to be like, well, if somebody's pulling off, then the next turn the person will come on.
Yeah,
it'll mean some dead time for that person that's waiting to come on, but as long as we're keeping it to like 15, 20 minutes max per turn, it should only be about 30 minutes or so before a new person steps on, which isn't awful for an event like this.
No, and there'll be lots of people around. You can hang out and go check
talk strategy,
out,
talk about when he wants to come on, what they want to bring on, tweak lists, etc., etc.
I do think.
What was that, Alec? Kind of quiet.
Do we allow people to tweak lists?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of the rule. So you're able to change your list between. I mean, I brought 5 different lists with me and ended up playing 3 of them. So.
Yeah, I thought it was cool for people to play like their whole collection, right?
Yep.
Oh no, I mean definitely. I just didn't I meant can they pull one piece out, put one piece back in, and step back onto the table because now they know what their opponent is running.
I mean, yes. Is it necessarily like super kosher to do that? Probably not. But the rules allowed it so that people could switch armies or switch.
No, I got that. I figured just with everyone bringing at least 2 lists, it kind of worked. But
yeah,
no, I get what you're saying. But tweaking.
I mean, but at the same time, like, who's expecting to run into your list with 2 judicators?
I told everybody in the Discord my list months in advance, or a month in advance. And even before I posted them in the Discord, I sent them to Joe, and I was like, Joe, are these okay? Because before I post them, I'm like, these are my lists. Joe's like, yeah, they'll be great. Everyone will love to play against them. I was like, Joe. I think
they did, and they loved getting their extra colossals to help even things out, right? It's perfect. Working as intended.
Working as intended. Oh man, that was a challenge.
Defenders had to have a boogeyman. Very cool. So, wrap things up. We had a great time at the event. I think we talked about how to plan your own event. If you guys are interested, you can reach out to us, and we're definitely going to help give you suggestions and ideas, and you can bounce ideas off us if you want to. Alec and I both have a lot of experience, and now Joe has some good experience as well. So, please reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Joe, is there anything exciting coming up that you want to talk about before we end the cast?
God, I feel like that's a leading question, and the answer should be yes.
Nova?
Are we talking about Nova, Jay?
Yeah, I'm talking about Nova.
All right, yeah. So, we got Nova at the end of the month. We're going to run the event again on Friday. Yep. So, looking forward to bringing out the walls and setting everything up and just having a good time there. and not something. And I'm looking forward to King of Coins. That's going to be a highlight for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring in my scorn coin and kicking some ass. Gonna have it renamed. Did I tell you it's gonna be called Tyrant of Coins next year?
Okay.
So them's my fighting words. So you heard it here first.
All right. I bet Akers and Alec have a little thing to say about that, but
a little bit.
Akers, who's that? Does he have a coin?
Yeah, he does.
What coin does he have? Does he have my Infernal coin?
He might.
Is that the coin that? Oh man. Well, at least I got the Scorn coin. Yeah. No. I'm looking forward to all that. It's going to be a great weekend. And then my buddy's coming out from Colorado, so I'm looking forward to hanging out with him too. It's going to be sweet.
Awesome. What about you, Alec? You got anything exciting? Anything you're looking forward to?
I'm definitely looking forward to doing the gauntlet. I'm looking forward to doing the King of Coins and then the narrative. I'm gonna show you a little bit. We're working on him. I know the camera cut out.
Camera is not cut out. It's just very shaky.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
That's actually just my hand. And then you can also see the new painting and streaming desk.
Very cool.
But no, I'm just looking forward to just getting out there and just throwing the dice and having some fun. I didn't do that right. Yeah. But I have to go. It's been a pleasure as always, gentlemen.
Yep. And thanks again. So thanks for listening to the podcast. You can find us on most podcasting channels. We're working on adding a couple that people have mentioned to us that they can't find us on. And you'll be able to see us at Nova Open. I'll be there Thursday through Sunday. I'm pretty sure most of the other guys are going to be there for the majority of the time as well. Thanks for listening, and catch you all later.
Yeah, later, guys.
Bye.